to our second team that we're going to predict has a lot of similarities like the New Orleans Saints, and that is they have no idea who the quarterback's going to be. Do you want to be the quarterback? Do you want to be the quarterback? Do you want to be the quarterback? Hell, you played high school football? Why don't you try out for our team? And that is the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns win total prediction is 4.5 wins, just like the Saints. And you know what? It's going to be hard pressed to get to 5 wins. It's going to be hard to see it. But let's go over their offseason. They re-signed their prize player, Myles Garrett. You know damn well he wanted to stay for the money. He didn't want to stay for a winning team or a Super Bowl team. The Browns are going nowhere fast, but they re-signed him, so they have their prized possession. They traded for Kenny Pickett, another quarterback who was not so good for the Eagles. They bring in Joe Flacco. Hopefully he can add some old school magic to the team. They brought in Devin Bush for some linebacker help, who might start for them as well. They brought in Joe Tyron for the defensive end for some depth. They brought in Malik Collins, a really solid defensive tackle. Signed him on a 2-year deal to help Garrett with that defensive line. And they signed some offensive linemen to help, protect whoever the hell is going to be quarterback. They signed Cornelius Lucas, Tevin Jenkins. They also brought in the DN Julian Okwara and some other guys, Devontae Carter, he'll help on the kick returns. And they brought Deontay Johnson, another guy they're hoping to bring back some magic they had like he did with the Steelers. So they're hoping for that. So maybe him and Flacco could add some spice to that team. I'm not seeing it. And the people who left, the players who left the team, nobody real significant. Nick Chubb left. He has nothing left in the knees. The Texans are saying he has no burst left. I think all the injuries caught up to Nick Chubb, so that wasn't a big loss. There's not really any losses anybody worth really mentioning. Jamie Winston being one, Elijah Moore. So nobody to write home about on their departures. Their draft picks, they did bring in Mason Graham with the second pick in the first round. He was a monster defensive tackle for the Michigan Wolverines. Solid pick. Now you can tell that their defensive line is their meat and potatoes, their strength of this team. You got Myles Garrett, Collins, and now Mason Graham. So this team can create a lot of terror on the defensive line if Graham lives up to that bill of the second pick in the first round. They brought in Carson Swinger to play linebacker from UCLA, and they brought in Quinshawn Judkins, whatever they say his name. But they brought in this guy to potentially be the starting running back, and this guy gets in trouble, and now his future, his whole NFL future, is up in the air. He did push back his court date to 2026, but do the Browns actually want him to play for the team? They lost Watson for, he's probably gone forever for all the crazy stuff he did. He got in trouble, and this kid gets in trouble too. So it might be a bad PR move to bring this kid on and actually have him play for your team this year. So who knows what's going to happen with that guy. And they also brought in Sanders with the 5th round pick and Gabriel, the other quarterback. And Sanders could potentially be a big steal there, as he thought himself was going to be a 1st round pick. So with this team, obviously their strength is their defense. They have potential. They have a great defensive line. Like I said, Garrett, Collins, Graham, Shelby Harris as a backup. That has a chance to be world beaters. And Myles Garrett, he's always going to get after the quarterback. And now they might take some pressure off himself. They still have really 2 good corners, and Denzel Ward and Greg Newsome. So that's really nice. So that really helps the defensive line. If the corners could hold the wide receivers from getting loose, that really helps the line out. Some solid linebackers. They're really hoping the rookie steps up and Devin Bush steps up. And they have a good safety and Grant Delbert and Ronnie Hickman and potentially DeMonte Casey. So really solid, good defense. Their offense, like I said, has something left to be desired. Who's going to play quarterback? Sanders did look good in his first preseason game. Hopefully he keeps it up and maybe he gets the keys to the car in the first game of the season. The running back room is not so good. Ford is an better average running back, but is he something that's going to be a game changer? No, not whatsoever. I don't think that their Judkins is going to, whatever the hell his name is, I don't know if he's going to play this season. Then they have Dylan Simpson and Pierre Strong Jr. Not a good running back room. Wide receiver, actually a strength of theirs. Jerry Jeudy, Deontay Johnson, Cedric Tillman, and Jamari Trash and DeAndre Carter. Solid wide receiver group. Jerry Jeudy, he looked great towards the end of the season. Winston was just throwing him 40-yard, 50-yard bombs, and he was catching them, taking them to the house. Cedric Tillman is actually a pretty solid second wide receiver. And they're also hoping, like I said, Deontay Johnson to bring some of that magic he had with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And hopefully he's not a Madonna. He's not going to be too much of a headache in the locker room. So with that being said, guys, their team total wins is 4.5 wins. And that is not much. And unlike the Saints, I am more confident that this team could possibly get to 5 wins. As I look at their schedule, the Browns, the first 4 weeks is terrible. They could probably go 0-4 so quick. But if they could get a win against the Minnesota Vikings on the first game of October, then potentially get a second win in October against the Dolphins or the Patriots, which is not out of this realm, they get 2 wins in October. If they could beat the Jets in November, that's 3 wins. And then maybe potential steal win against the Las Vegas Raiders and potentially still winning against the Titans. That's 4 to 5 wins right there, okay? And then maybe they could catch a game late. Maybe the Bengals, they play the last week. Maybe they had the playoff berth already locked and they don't want to play any of their starters. Maybe the Browns get a win there. So I am taking the over 4.5 wins. I think this defense, and more particular defensive line, can cause some havoc, some chaos to the opposing quarterbacks. And I think they can maybe sneak out some wins, like I said, against the Raiders, potentially against the Miami Dolphins or the Patriots. God knows who's going to be quarterback. I think Sanders is going to be the best choice. He's going to add some razzle-dazzle, I think, because he's going to be a rookie who has a chip on his shoulder to prove people that he should have been a first-round pick, or unless he thinks he's a first-round pick. But I think if they start him, he uses his legs a bit. I think they could sneak out some sneaky wins here. So I'm going the over 4.5 wins when it comes to the Cleveland Browns.